So, how do you conduct yourself when you haven't made money in business yet? Yet is the key. Business requires interacting with people, having conversations, and you want to be able to have a high level conversation with the people that you're connecting with. Well, a lot of the partners and even clients or anybody you attempt to add to your team to help you build this business, as you will soon find if you're seriously pursuing having a business, you will definitely begin to understand that you need a team and that you need to work with others. I mean, no one makes a million by themselves, no one makes a dollar by themselves. So you have to connect with people in the way that meets their needs and makes them feel comfortable and safe moving forward with you and trusting you so that they can set more time aside to listen to you. And so, with a lot of objections that I've gotten in the past, in terms of me approaching partners and saying, hey, or even gatekeepers, say they were secretaries or they were senior executives, and before I could get to like the CEO, I would have to have a meeting with them first, and they would qualify me, screen me, and determine if it was okay for a project to be approved, to be reviewed by another board or whatever. So just to keep this in layman's terms, people have asked me, well, how much money have you made in business? And I haven't made anything in business. I've made zero in business. When these people have asked me these questions, but I had to realize that, man, like everybody starts from somewhere, every professional starts from somewhere. And just because you haven't made any money in business doesn't mean you haven't profited in business. You haven't had any valuable experiences. Um, just because you haven't made any money in business doesn't mean your business is useless or worthless or valueless. And a lot of times, the first question people jump to is how much money have you made? Because that's a very important question that shows track record, it shows, activity. And what are we in business for in the beginning, in the first place? We're in this to make money, we're in this to make profit. And so the first question is people want to know if you're serious right away. Well, how much money have you made? How much did these clients pay you? And so when you receive that kind of question and you're in an early stage and you don't know exactly how to answer it, the best thing to say is, while I haven't made much revenue in business, I've made a shit ton of deal flow. And what that basically means is there's a difference between cash flow and deal flow. Deal flow comes before cash flow. In fact, in order for cash flow to happen, you have to have deal flow, some type of deal flow coming in, some type of opportunity. Deal flow is potential opportunities that you are sourcing and finding out about, conversations that you are having that could lead to business. And so deal flow is what leads to cash flow. So when you respond to a question like that by saying, while I haven't generated much revenue, I've generated a shit ton of deal flow, a whole lot of deal flow. That says something. That says that at least you're striving um, for success. And just because you haven't completed any successful projects doesn't mean that the projects you have in motion or the projects that are emerging aren't worthy to talk about. If you got a project inside your mind, it's an idea, it's a concept, that is a project in motion because thought uh, is the first action, right? It's a micro action that leads to feelings, that leads to words, that leads to decisions, that leads to actual action. So if you're thinking about doing something, that's a fucking project. I am thinking about starting a company specializing in XYZ, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That is a project. That's an emerging project. You get it out on paper, it becomes realer. You have a conversation about it with team members, it becomes realer. You form an operating agreement and a team charter around it and a business model for it, it becomes realer. You implement that business model, it begins to generate deal flow, and deal flow begins to generate results, which is your profit, which is your cash flow, which is your revenue. And so when people are asking, well, how much money have you made, or trying to invalidate you or find holes in your approach so that they can, the first thing people want to look for, And the reason why people do this is they want to find holes in you as quickly as possible because they don't have a lot of time to make effective decisions. And people don't want to spend time undoing a wrong decision that they made. So people just want to make the right decisions. And the easiest way for people to make the right decisions is by immediately finding an excuse to say no to something before they even know what it is. And so with that, you have to eliminate that resistance, because you have to know that people are going to target your holes right away. And the biggest hole they can target is how much money are you worth? How much money have you made? How much money do you have? In terms of when you're partnering with someone. So basically, the message that I'm trying to get across to you guys is don't just run away and don't feel threatened when someone just says, hey, how much money have you made in your business? How much money have you made? If you haven't made any money, you've done something. What have you done? You've begun prospecting. You've begun talking to people. You've begun sharing your ideas and your thoughts. You're generating deal flow. You're creating the conditions for cash flow to happen. So be transparent and upfront about that, especially if you haven't made any money. If they say, well, man, well, how much did your clients pay you? And, you just say, you just address their concern. You just say basically, hey, look, I really appreciate your interest in the performance of my business. Now, mind you, while I have not made much revenue being an early stage company, being an early stage business, I have generated a significant ton of deal flow. And that's actually my biggest challenge. I'm looking to put together a team to help me manage all this deal flow that I have, all these project opportunities that I have on the table. So my business is at the point where I believe it's reached its maximum scalability with what I can do for it on my own, and I'm looking to grow a team so that I can actually manage all the work that's coming in for my business. Fulfillment is my biggest challenge, and this is why I need these resources, X, Y, and Z, to overcome this challenge so that I can reach the maximum performance in my business. Does that make sense? I really appreciate you wanting to learn more about my business. While I've not generated much revenue being an early stage company, I've generated a ton of deal flow, significant deal flow. And that deal flow leads to cash flow, and that's actually my biggest challenge, managing all the deal flow that I have coming in. Does that make sense, or would you like me to go further into detail? So that's how you kind of flip that question like on its ass, and you just be transparent with people. People are trying to find holes and poke holes in you. They're trying to find flaws, and they need to do that for their own security. They need to do that because they want to make a fast, quick, and effective decision because they're time sensitive. Everything is time sensitive. And so their job is to find holes, and your job is to let them poke around, but don't let them wound you. Deflect that shit, disarm that shit, and say, yeah, I appreciate you wanting to. I'm flattered that you want to learn more about my business and you're concerned about the performance of my business, as I am too. I really appreciate that. Mind you, while I have not generated much revenue being an early stage company, I have generated a ton of deal flow, a ton of deal flow. So my biggest challenge right now is basically managing all this deal flow and work and opportunity that I have on the table because I've been marketing, because I've been selling. And now I need to fulfill. I need to get my product and service into the hands of my market. And this is why I need X amount of cash, X amount of investment, X amount of team members. I need these specific types of skill sets. And this is what I believe I need to scale and grow. Would you be interested in joining my crusade? And that's just what it is. You have to, you can't run from yourself, and you must be authentic in order for people to really feel you. And this is a way you can stay authentic and true to you. And this is a way you can truly show your value and show you mean business and show that you're serious, even if you don't have all your shit together yet. Deal flow, deal flow, deal flow. And that's what it is, guys. I'm gonna head out, talk some business real quick with my man down the block, and it is what it is, man.